I woke up on the morning of my 35th birthday party feeling both exhilarated and strangely anxious. Chicago's summer air drifted in through my bedroom window in my apartment overlooking the bustling street below. Sunlight danced across my vanity mirror where my favorite dress hung so carefully on a velvet hanger. I had discovered that navy blue silk wrap dress 3 years ago during a weekend getaway to Lake Geneva, and it became my most treasured piece of clothing. It clung to my body in all the right places and made me feel confident in moments when my self-esteem wavered. The mirror reflection showed a woman who had navigated a demanding corporate career in marketing and managed to maintain close friendships despite a hectic schedule. Today felt like the culmination of countless late nights, conference calls, and compromises with family obligations. I felt a thrilling mix of pride and nervous anticipation. The dress held more than just sentimental value in my mind. I remembered the afternoon I found it draped over the shop mannequin in a little boutique off Michigan Avenue. Its silky fabric shimmered under the display lights as though it had a secret glow reserved only for the wearer. I had tried it on, knowing instantly that it was exactly what I needed for important moments. My younger sister Lara was with me that day, teasing me as I admired myself in the mirror. She joked that she wished she had a dress that beautiful. At the time I laughed and bid her go try on something in her own style instead. She crossed her arms and glared at me playfully, her dark hair falling over one eye. I brushed off the tension with a hug, never dreaming that an offhand comment would translate into something more serious later. In the days leading up to the party I fussed over every detail. I sent invitations, arranged catering from that new gastropub on Randolph Street, and curated playlists with songs that marked milestones in my life. I chose a color scheme of navy, gold, and blush pink to accent the city skyline view from my living room floor-to-ceiling windows. Lara texted early with RSVPs, thanking me for the invite and promising to bring a bottle of red wine. I felt relieved that she seemed enthusiastic. Yet a small knot of unease formed in my stomach whenever I thought of how she might orchestrate her entrance. She had always enjoyed a bit of drama, whether performing in high school theater or simply commanding attention at family gatherings. I dismissed my anxieties with rational thoughts. This was my night, my celebration, and everyone would understand that includes her being part of it without overshadowing me. The apartment filled with a lively buzz as guests began to arrive. Glasses clinked, laughter rose, and the scent of herb-roasted chicken mingled with cinnamon-scented candles placed on the coffee table. I greeted each friend with a warm hug or handshake, smiling brightly as I led them into the living area. At precisely 7:30, Lara breezed in wearing a black jumpsuit and carrying the promised bottle of wine. I felt relief sweep through me until she stepped into the light near the mirror. There she stood, her posture proud, wearing my navy blue silk wrap dress cinched at the waist with a bow resting above her hip. A hush followed. My breath caught as I realized she had chosen to disguise her entrance until the most dramatic moment possible. The dress shimmered under the chandelier light, exactly as it had on that boutique mannequin. An internal storm of emotions raged within me as I watched guests murmur and glance at Lara in my dress. Some complimented her taste, unaware of the betrayal. My throat tightened and my heartbeat drummed in my ears. I forced myself to smile and approach her casually. She turned and smiled broadly as though proud of her choice. I asked if she wanted a drink. She nodded and leaned in to whisper that she thought I would love seeing her wear the dress. My stomach dropped. In that moment I realized she had planned this all along to embarrass me or stake her own moment in the spotlight. I excused myself and found my best friend Olivia near the balcony plants. She met my eyes and recognized something was wrong. Without speaking, she offered solidarity as adrenaline and disappointment tangled together in my chest. Olivia slipped an arm through mine and guided me to the balcony where the city lights glittered against the twilight sky. I inhaled the humid air scented with street food carts below. She asked me softly what happened, and I whispered that Lara had betrayed me by wearing my favorite dress in the humiliating way possible. Olivia reminded me that everyone here cared about me more than a garment. She suggested I give Lara a chance to explain before reacting publicly. My mind raced with conflicting thoughts about trust, family loyalty, and my own need for respect. I knew I had to weigh my love for my sister against the humiliation pulsing in my veins. The hum of traffic and laughter from inside felt like a taunt. I took a breath, resolved to discover the truth before letting anger drive my next move. I inhaled the humid air and let the sound of distant sirens settle my nerves. Olivia gave me a nod of solidarity before we re-entered the living room. The surge of voices and clinking glasses felt deafening, but I forced myself to focus on the familiar faces of friends who had come to celebrate me, not to witness family drama. My mind scrolled through possible approaches, a gentle question, a firm demand, and outright public shaming. Each option carried consequences I wasn't sure I was ready to face. But the disappointment pulsing in my chest demanded resolution. I gave Olivia a small nod and she positioned herself discreetly by my side, ready to back me up. I approached Lara near the champagne table, where she was chatting and laughing as though nothing were wrong. The gold sequins of her clutch mirrored the light, and I could see how confident she looked. I swallowed hard, steadying the tremor in my voice before I spoke. "Lara, can we talk for a moment?" I said quietly. She turned, her smile faltering as she registered my tone. "Of course," she replied, handing her wine glass to a friend and following me to the foyer. The air between us felt electric, with tension, and I braced myself for whatever excuse she might offer. I needed honesty. I needed to understand why she had chosen my dress and my celebration to make her point. Once we were out of earshot, I let my questions tumble out. "Why did you wear my dress? Did you think I wouldn't notice?" My words sounded harsher than intended, but I couldn't hide the hurt. Lara looked down at her feet, twisting her fingers nervously. After a moment she exhaled and met my gaze. I know it was wrong, but I felt invisible," she confessed, her voice cracking. "You have everything, Ilaria. The career, the friends, even Mom and Dad always praise you." I needed to feel special tonight. My heart sank at her admission. I had always known she wrestled with insecurities, but I never imagined this level of resentment. Her confession struck a chord in me. I remembered childhood birthday parties where Lara sat quietly while I opened presents. I recalled prom night when my date never even asked her to dance. Memories flashed sharply, and I felt a pang of guilt. "I'm sorry you felt invisible," I said softly, placing a hand on her arm. "But this isn't the way to feel seen. You humiliated me in front of everyone." Tears pooled in her eyes as she nodded. "I know. I'm sorry. I wanted you to understand how much I needed attention." I squeezed her arm, torn between anger and empathy. My friend Olivia watched from inside, giving me space while silently urging reconciliation. After a pause I said, "Let's go back in and talk to everyone together." Lara shook her head. "Please, let me fix this," she begged. She retrieved her clutch and pulled out her phone. "I prepared something," she said, her voice trembling. Confused, I followed her back to the living room where she tapped on the speaker. A slow melody began to play, "My Wish" by Rascal Flatts. She forced a smile and raised her wine glass. "To Ilaria," she called out. Guests paused mid-conversation and turned. My breath caught as she spoke into the mic. "Thank you, everyone, for being here. Ilaria, you've always been my role model. Tonight I wore your dress to honor you, because you inspire me." Her words echoed through the room. Silence fell. Lara's eyes glistened under the chandelier. She continued, voice wavering. "I wanted to show that I look up to you, even if I can't wear your confidence. I'm sorry for taking your dress without permission. It was selfish. But if you can forgive me, I hope you'll let me share this moment. You deserve every bit of attention." The sincerity in her tone dissolved the last of my hurt. Tears blurred my vision as I realized the depth of her longing for connection. I set aside my pride and crossed to her, my own glass raised. "Lara, I forgive you," I said. "I love you. You don't have to compete with me. You are special on your own." A collective sigh swept through the guests and then applause broke out, warm and genuine. Lara's shoulders relaxed, and relief washed across her face. I hugged her, feeling the tension melt away. Olivia joined us, wrapping her arms around both of us. The rest of the party resumed, but something had shifted. Conversations felt more heartfelt, laughter more genuine. I caught a glimpse of my dress, now back on its hanger, safe inside my closet. But it didn't matter. The dress had been a symbol, and what truly mattered was the bond between us. I realized that forgiveness could be more powerful than pride, and that vulnerability had strengthened our relationship. Later, as the night wound down and the city lights shimmered beyond the windows, Lara and I found a quiet moment on my balcony. We sipped the leftover wine in silence, reflecting on what had transpired. She thanked me for listening and promised to honor boundaries in the future. I encouraged her to embrace her own style and strengths. In that golden glow, I realized our sisterhood was stronger than any dress or petty rivalry. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the living room windows onto the empty champagne flutes lined up on the coffee table. I sat cross-legged on the plush beige rug, still in the navy wrap dress I'd changed back into late last night, stroking the silky fabric as if it held all the answers to life's complexities. Lara stirred on the couch beside me, wrapped in a soft cashmere throw, her dark hair tousled from sleep. We had promised each other honesty and forgiveness, and yet I sensed there was more to unravel. Over the past 24 hours, we'd bridged a chasm I never fully acknowledged existed between us. But as the hush of morning settled in, I realized healing was just beginning. I cleared my throat and looked at her. "How are you feeling?" I asked, my voice gentle. Lara half smiled, her eyes tracing the sunlight patterns on the hardwood floor. "Lighter," she admitted. "I slept better than I have in months." We sat in silence for a moment, and I reflected on how our lives had diverged, I, immersed in my career and social sphere. she, charting her own path but often feeling overshadowed. Yesterday, the dress became a battleground emblem, and tonight it symbolized our renewed connection. I poured 2 glasses of leftover rose, handed one to her, and we toasted quietly. To new beginnings. As we sipped, I asked, "What's next? How can we make sure this doesn't happen again?" Lara set her glass on the low table and leaned forward. "I want to express myself without comparison," she said. "I'll find my own style, pursue my passions, and you can help me, if you want." I nodded, excited by the prospect of mentoring her, not out of obligation, but because I genuinely wanted to see her shine. We began sketching plans. She'd join me at a weekend styling workshop I'd attended years ago. I'd invite her to business networking events so she could meet people outside our family circle. We'd schedule monthly sister dates just for laughter and catch up, free from any tension. By late afternoon, we decided to take our conversation to Lake Michigan's lakeshore. The breeze off the water was cool against my skin, rippling the hem of my dress. We walked side by side on the concrete promenade, breezy city sounds mixing with the lapping waves. Families picnicked on the grass, a street musician played a soulful guitar riff, and sailboats dotted the horizon. Lara paused to pick up a smooth white rock, running her fingers over its polished surface. "This feels like a fresh start," she said, tossing the stone back into the water. I watched it skip twice before sinking, reminded that we could let go of past hurts and still trust the current to carry us forward. I told her about the upcoming proposal review at work, the one I'd been preparing for weeks, and asked if she'd like to sit with me at a cafe tomorrow to help practice my pitch. She grinned, her confidence glimmering. "Absolutely. I want to support you the way you've always supported me." My heart lifted at the sincerity in her tone. We laughed as seagulls swooped overhead, and for the first time in years, I felt the ease of sisterhood replace the old specter of rivalry. That evening, back in my apartment, we cooked dinner together, pasta with fresh basil and cherry tomatoes. The chopping board became our conversation hub. She confessed about her new job search, and I admitted how lonely my corporate ascent sometimes felt. We traded stories about first crushes and embarrassing teenage mishaps, our laughter echoing off the bare walls that would soon be filled with framed photographs and art. The dress again made a cameo, draped over a chair, no longer a point of contention but a reminder of our bond's resilience. Later, winding down with mugs of chamomile tea, Lara reached across the coffee table and took my hand. "Thank you," she whispered. "Not just for forgiving me, but for listening, for caring about who I am." I squeezed her fingers, my eyes welling. "You don't have to thank me. You're my sister, and I love you. We're in this together." In that moment, I realized that the dress, the party, even the betrayal, had been a catalyst, not for division, but for truth. It forced us to confront hidden feelings, to speak the unspoken, and to forge a relationship grounded in empathy and mutual respect. Before she left, we made one final pact. Whenever one of us felt overshadowed or insecure, we would voice it immediately rather than let resentment fester. We'd treat each other as partners, not competitors. As Lara stepped into the elevator wearing her own new dress, one she'd bought at a consignment shop that morning, I waved and smiled, marveling at how different she looked when she shone in her own light. I closed the door, sliding the dress hanger onto my closet rod with a gentle click. Standing in the quiet apartment, I felt an overwhelming gratitude for the night's revelation. Sometimes it takes a crisis to rekindle compassion, and sometimes a favorite dress can spark a journey to deeper connection. At 35, I had learned that vulnerability and forgiveness are the truest marks of strength, and that the love between sisters, once reignited, can outshine any piece of clothing.